So around the world, there are many people like Elon Musk, yes? Each nation has their own version of Elon Musk. I think ours here is Richard Branson and perhaps someone Dyson. I'm not really sure. Now, if you can interpret this, can you read this like an instruction manual and could you build it? That's the next question. I think you could. Take a CFL light bulb and let's say we got this for example, and it's gonna be something that sits in space, and there's gonna be some like friction that spins around it. So rings, perhaps like rings. As these rings spin around, they're gonna stroke the side of the CFL bulb, and they should be able to light it up. Now what's more, I want to keep that motion going of the rotating so that it doesn't need energy. It only needs the first energy to get it going, to get the ring spinning and the bulb perhaps stays still, or you build something where the bulb rotates. It's a little bit trickier with the bulb. I was thinking like an asteroid that's smacked into a wheel, I don't know, and it grabs the asteroid as it spins around and then throws it back around for an orbit, and it keeps coming back around and using this motion to keep the ring spinning. Not sure if that would work. Anyway, either or, this when it strokes the CFL bulb should create static if done correctly. Now I'm not sure how this will work in a non-earthed environment, but still, it should begin, the faster it spins, the brighter that CFL bulb should glow. If that does glow, then think about each one of these, because it will be harder to build it in a sense to grow food from the bulb. Interesting. And you can get heat from it. Interesting. Interesting. Ooh. What's he thinking about? I'm thinking about a lot, but I gotta hold the phone and do this at the same time. Brrr. In this motion, let's say if we had compartments that were interlocking for growing food, for example. Now, some of the compartments are gonna be in shade, which that's where the static, let's say velvet or spikes come off of, and they stroke the bulb, and the other part is going to absorb the light, and they're going to have no static mechanism to touch the bulb, so they receive light, and the one beside it is the plants inside that will be in night mode. So those are the ones that need this casing that moves from light, goes to one, feeds the plants. Now if it's flowering, it's going to need 12 hours, right? 12, yes, flowering mode. And then it will slide across after 12, and then the other one gets light. And then back to the other one in the mechanisms. So the compartments, it has one with the static generator on the side, one compartment experiences light, next compartment has the static, next one has the light. And the bulb stays in the middle, and the ones that stroke, all of those compartments are going to be in flowering mode, and the ones that are light are going to be in grow mode, let's say. So one's sleep, one's light. One's dark, one's light. One's dark, one's light. One's dark, one's light. The dark ones are going to stroke, and then it's going to be in the mechanism that slides up to then let the light in the one that's just been in sleep mode to wake up. If this works, like, and we're looking at rotation, just got to think about it, is Jupiter, and look at Io. No. Yes, Io. I think it's Io. Yeah, Io. You see how that is rotating constantly around Jupiter and it's discharging those amps onto Jupiter. We want the same process, but with a CFL bulb. CFL bulbs are very good for growing plants. And in this mechanism, if it starts rotating and it carries on orbiting, these rings go around the bulb, then we should be able to generate light without any electricity needed. You just cash in off of this friction, and it should build up static and therefore might glow the bulb. So start this off as a small project anywhere. China, Russia, America, Germany, France, wherever, Australia, whatnot. Try these off in small versions first. If it works, then upscale that. And then all it needs to do is worry about oxygen versus carbon conversion. Yeah. Would you mind holding this for me just so I can draw something? It helps me just process. I'm in a video right now. I say I'm in it because I feel like I can see myself. It's weird. Let me see if I can help narrow this down a little bit. I do apologise, you've got to hold the phone like that. And I'm going to need some light as well. Speaking of the subject, look. I don't know, I was staring at the planets and trying to figure out a way to make energy. So if I maneuver you, I do apologise for this. I know it's awkward. So this is a CFL bulb. Okay, and then if we've got a ring around it, or a couple of rings, it just depends. This is just for inside each one of these is a compartment. You get the gist. Now, I've not made this perfect, but I don't need to. It's just a concept, right? And if this one has something that generates static, and this one is going to be receiving light, this one is going to be generating the static, this one's going to be receiving the light, this one's going to generate the static, and so on. And depending on whether that's vegetation mode or flowering mode will depend on when these need to switch. And this one here, after, let's say we go flowering, so we're going to go 12-12 just for argument's sake. This one's going to experience 12 hours of darkness. This one's going to experience 12 hours of light. This one's going to be darkness, this one's going to be light, darkness, light, darkness, light. And the ones that are dark are going to be the ones that generate the static. It's going to stroke the bulb. These are going to generate the static, stroke the bulb, and hopefully trigger off some light that is then going to be encapsulated. And these are going to start growing things towards the light, hopefully. And it's also going to generate a type of magnetic field, hopefully, off of this static, with a static version. And these ones are going to be also having plants inside them, but they're going to be in darkness. And then, when it's time to switch after 12 hours, these static things run on a rail that then moves over to the ones that were light, and this one's now going to switch to darkness, and this one's going to switch to light, or it's going to receive the light. If, like Io, we think about it, this is going to be Io, and this is Jupiter, and it's discharging those 3 million amps to it. So here, let me just bring you a little closer so you sort of get the process. And they're going to switch from one to the other, and when they switch, they're going to generate the static into the CFL bulb, and each one is going to rotate. If this is rotating, this is going to create some friction on here, which should trigger the CFL bulb to light up. I'm sure of it, it will work, but again, building it too big and it might not be all the best. It should be, because it works in the planets. Io is discharging these static, and this is what I think drives magnetic fields. And if it does, this can then trigger a CFL bulb if it's close proximity to it. I've noticed this when you take a CFL bulb and you stroke something against it, it lights up. Or you take the version of a fox's tail and rub it with a stick, it then discharges. Did you know in old folklore that that Scandinavian cultures believed that what created the northern lights was a fox jumping over a fallen tree, and the whoosh of its tail hit the sky, and psh, because of how static the fox's tail is. We could use types of fur like that to stroke the bulb. I'm not sure how bright it will get. It should get quite bright, but if there's problem with luminosity, the ring needs to spin faster. And when it spins faster, that should... And you can encase this whole thing. I've just done it like this, just 2D, but if you imagine it 3D, that would be quite impressive. How worthy it is or not? Not sure. But it only takes one nation around the world to build this and share the blueprint with everybody, and this gets you kick-started into making food in space without ever needing ground. And it could work in hydroponics, I'm not sure, because the water should cling to the outside if this is rotating, and the roots should be there. So that could work. It could work. It might work, it might not. And if there's a sprinkler above, the water will hit the leaves and then hit the side, and this should generate heat to stop it from freezing from the light. If this is situated not too close and not too far away, this should get hot. It act like a sun, but it should never go out. If it spins too fast, it will blow the bulb. There'll be too much energy go into it, and it won't be able to handle discharging that. Space is pretty cold though, so it might need to be in-housed. It might. You're very good. I know you're very good at reading things like this, like an instruction manual, and you can build this stuff. But share it. Share it with others. If Richard Branson, whoever, and whatever, and anyone else that's doing it, Elon Musk as well, you know, all of you are in this. You're very good at reading things like this, like an instruction manual. So I think you already have that ability. You're very talented at that. Don't lose that. That's a talent, that is. If you can create this, and NASA as well, if you can do this is hunger is a thing of the past, literally. There are complications to it. How hot does it need to be? How close does it need to be? How far away? Can we make it so that the rings expand and come closer? That all needs to be looked at. And then any type of static that's being generated in there, does it work? For one question is, does this work? I've been sitting on this one for a while, just trying to think of many different ways to achieve this. Now, if there were, everything orbits, things orbit. It does lose momentum, but even still, I'm not sure. Moons don't seem to slow down terribly much over the grand scheme of things over time. If the outside was able to have a scoop on it. The moon has low gravity anyway. If there was a scoop on here that was capable of catching an asteroid that was sent in rhythmic fashion, and then it went off to orbit somewhere else, or it orbits two of these, and it pushes from one to the other, when it spins around, it should release it at the right time, and it goes off and hits into another. Think of figure of eight, the figure of eight. But we're using the rotation and a scoop, and then you've got another one and a rotation and a scoop, and it slings the asteroid or media or object, heavy object, into this one. It comes round, lets go, and if it captures it at the right time and you've got a bucket both sides, it can throw this from one to the other. Therefore keeping them in a perpetual motion without needing to use fuel, air, or anything else. That's something. Controlling oxygen and carbon levels inside here, it could be done with biodegradable matter that if it's beginning to create too much carbon, it gets cold and therefore should shrink it needs to get more colder. So like in the summer, things expand and more oxygen is being created, and in the winter, carbon is being created from, let's say, rot and stuff. But if it gets too cold, it stops for a bit. I think there's springtime, actually. So using this process of a chamber, let's say, with rotting produce in it, is going to be releasing CO2. It's going to be converting oxygen into CO2 in this process. Now, if it cooled down, it should not cool down to enough that you want to kill the microorganisms responsible for this feasting and breaking down, because we don't want it to turn to methane. So when it reaches a certain level of CO2, it's going to need to stop so that it doesn't start producing methane, yes? We don't want it to do that, but we can slow it down, and then the plants can then begin to grow and then convert that carbon dioxide back into oxygen, and then this chamber here that's got the rotting stuff in it can then take over again and warm up and then begin to convert, and this can be used off of the byproduct of the plant when the next one's growing. So think about it as an enclosed system that should never need given any oxygen or carbon. It should be able to keep, and then all we need to do is then just send the food to Earth, and just the fruits come. Anything else is dug up and left to rot to help then convert the oxygen back into carbon, so we don't need to keep switching the gases out. This slowly but surely should give you a steady flow of fruit, whatever it's being grown in there, berries or whatever, and then this food starts to come back, and then you never need to keep going up and this, that and the other. It just needs to send the produce down. That's the next bit. This should be able to work. I'm not sure if it will though. I just got a feeling it might. And then we'll start to understand how long that takes before that needs the mechanism that's throwing one to the other. It's got a bit, you know, planets seem to keep orbiting around the star, so it's feasible, and then the planets are orbiting around the black hole. There's not much driving these mechanisms, so once it gets started, the rotation seems to be the universal understanding language principle. Rotation, movement, rotation. I just got a hunch. I just got a really big hunch. You know, you're very good at doing this sort of stuff. You can read this stuff like an instruction manual. I don't know, you got talent for that. You really got a talent for that, and some of us have. I think Richard Branson is another one. You got really good talent for it. Have a go. See what happens. Please let me know whether it's successful or not. I mean, I'll watch this. But from one to the other, generating friction. It doesn't have to be all the way around the bulb because the light will light. That's what it does. It finds its way out. And then if there is growing food in this mechanism, hunger days are over. And then if you could balance this, the CO2 ratio with the O2 ratio, back and forth. I might have said it wrong way around actually. We want the CO2 for the plants, not the oxygen, but vice versa, I'm not sure. Oxygen then can be converted into CO2 when things break down in compost. I think things break down in compost, but if it goes too far, doesn't it convert the CO2 into methane? But this can be slowed down by cooling maybe, or heating and drying. Again, if this is generating heat too, this could just be moved, this compartment can be moved closer to gain the heat, to slow it down, dry it out and stop that. You don't want to dry it out fully because we're going to want to keep a few that then explode again to help the rotting process. I think it's microorganisms that are responsible for that. So we want them to explode when we need it, and then we want them to contract, but not fully extinguish. And then contract and expand, contract and expand. If all of these mechanisms work just as they're meant to, I think we could generate a lot of food. A lot. Yeah. When things get rotating, they take a lot to slow it down, don't they? When things rotate in space, it takes an awful lot. It takes a while. If it's feasible. But the process I'm after is something that doesn't need any intervention. It doesn't need to keep having oxygen put into it or running off of systems, because again, this stuff propels. Or you could use solar sails. Solar sails expand when they need to speed this up, and then they close again when the mechanism needs to keep going. And then slowly but surely it starts to slow down, and then the solar sails open up again, charges it up, and then this keeps it going. But again, that's still relying on the sun. This mechanism, it will do for now, for sure relying on the sun. That the star's going to outlive the planet, but it needs to be something that gets the ball rolling. Is what the objective is to have something that is self-propulsion, that doesn't rely on a star. Because getting from one star to another star is going to rely on concepts like this. And it needs to be started now, because then the data is being gathered as to how that is achievable. Yeah, because it does it for the future generations. This puts a guarantee in their hands that if they decide to go towards another star, here is how you do it. It's a piece of a puzzle, and it's a big gift to leave. It's a very big gift. Instruction manual. You're good at that. I think you get it. I think you do. I feel that you do. I feel that others will get it too. And then if anyone makes this in this, all of the systems combined, yeah, this sort of really does begin to, it's another concept. Underground farms, above ground farms, as many farms as possible. Food is something that is needed. And it'd be more impressive if you could suck the Martian gases out. start it with the carbon gases from Mars. I mean, that's impressive. These things are impressive, but if not, then use some carbon from Earth. I mean, it's still good. And then we want to see if we can exchange those gases from one to the other, from one to the other, from one to the other, without any human intervention, let's say. And the food's got to be released, and maybe some robots in there that get powered up off of this. Can these CFL bulbs, can they power any type of, it'd be great to make little mini calculators, right, that run off of CFL bulbs in classrooms. Yeah, the little calculators with the little solar panel. If the robots could run off of the same principle in here, then they're getting power from the light too, as well as the plants. Yeah, that works too. I mean, this is a lot of concepts coming together, but if it could be pulled off, I mean, what a mark in history. Yeah, but anyway, there you are. I'm going to leave this one here, because if not, I'll go on. It excites me, though. I'll make a different video about this, but, there's a concept for now. What can you do with that?